What's going on, everybody? Demarco and Eric here for another episode of Deadlifts, Dogs, and Dad Jokes. We are here to help you become your strongest self and have some fun along the way. We've got a really cool guest for you all today. I'm actually very excited to meet this person, even though it's going to be virtually, but I'm super pumped to talk to this guy. He is Team USA for GS style kettlebell training, which is the Girevoy Sport, Kettlebell Sport, and which we're going to talk about that today. He is strong as a freaking ox. The weights I'm currently swinging, he is pressing and pistol squatting. So he is an absolute freaking stud. And he's a super nice guy as well. Has a great reputation as a coach and as a lifter and athlete. So super excited to talk to him about his training and any other stuff that comes up. So let's have some fun.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you? How's everything?
Hey, going great, man. Thanks for being on. Pumped.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I know, obviously, you and we had messaged on Instagram. So this is Eric. Eric Titu, my colleague. He is also a trainer and a coach. So he's my co-host on the show. So I just didn't want you to be, sitting there talking to a stranger on the on Zoom.
What's this guy here? What's he doing here?
Yeah,
What's going on?
He's not a weirdo. He's supposed to be here. So,
okay.
Yeah, man. It's great to have you on. Definitely appreciate your time and. So we already did a quick intro, kind of gave everybody a quick blurb on you. I mean, it was a very abbreviated version of it. So I'm excited to get more into detail as to what you're into. So I'm going to let Eric kind of start off with the first couple questions.
Okay.
Kevin, so welcome. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to I obviously don't know you at all. So just want to get a quick idea of sort of, I saw your Instagram, me and Demarco were running through that. I see you're into kettlebells, you do barbell stuff, you're definitely well-rounded. Just wanted to get an idea. I know I saw the Cfsc on there. I used to work for Mike Boyle's strength conditioning, so I know all about that as well. Just what brought you to the field? What's your background? Give the audience an idea of where you started.
Yeah, this all started at Fitchburg State University. I graduated with an exercise, sports, and science. And I think I graduated in 2011. From there, I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to take that degree. But the biggest thing is that I knew that my passion was to try to influence people, whether it's just the general population, athletes, whoever it was, just try to affect their life and try to make them stronger. And that's a part of my philosophy, is just help people deal with stress any way that I can, whether it's just be helping them with sports, getting them stronger, or just being, a person and just listening to the problems.
That's awesome. So you're a strength conditioning coach out of where now?
Yeah, currently right now I'm working at the training room.
Okay.
Awesome. That's located in Somerville.
Oh, awesome. So you know Mike very well. You work with Mike or no?
Yeah, Mike Conway. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I think he came in maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
Awesome.
Yeah, great guy. Very humble.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He spoke very highly of you, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate it.
He basically ordered me to have you on the show. He said, you need to have Kevin on the show.
Well, yeah, I mean, like our path cross here and there, but we're always working and we're always like overlapping each other. So
yeah,
whenever we have a chance, we kind of talk a little bit here and there, but nothing in depth yet.
Love that. When did you get the Cfsc?
Cfsc was, I think it was 2017 or 2018.
Okay.
After I graduated, I did the internship at 2016.
Okay.
And then I'm there working afterwards for, I think, a year. So it was 2016 to 2017. And then 2017 till now, I've been working at the training room.
Awesome. So like Steve Bigelow, Vinny Toludo, Kevin Duong, those guys.
Those were like my original staff members that I used to work for and work with. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I did an internship there back in 2013. So it's been a while, but I worked with them for a couple of years. I worked there for I think 2 or 3 years. So
yeah, they're great folks. Very they know their stuff for sure.
They do, man. Absolutely. I still keep in touch with them too. They're great, like you said, great coaches, and they opened a new facility in Middleton as well. So there's another facility now. So it's really that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Demarco, what's your question?
Yeah. So I'm definitely, and I want to hold this just a little bit longer because we're gonna go down a fun rabbit hole, which I'm pumped about. We'll talk about GS training, and I'm really excited to nerd out with you on kettlebells. But I see the jerseys behind you, and I
Yeah.
saw the blurb that your coach wrote about you on Instagram when you did your competition.
Yep.
So you played college football?
Yep. Yep. This was from the purple jersey over. It was just from my high school.
Okay.
I was gratefully, or how would you say, I was nominated to go to the Shriners Bowl for the Central Mass. So I represent my high school there, and then afterwards it was just jerseys from college for the next 4 years. So,
Man, that's really sick, man. What positions did you play and all that?
when I was in high school, I was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I played at Division 3 football at Monty Tech, and there wasn't a lot of people there, quite honest. So I was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Coast guard and Poland guard was basically my role, and then that was pretty much it in high school. And then when I transitioned to college, I was more focused on DN and almost like outside linebacker sometimes.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Nice. So you could deliver the punishment when the time came, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that it makes the transition a lot easier when it comes to training with the kettlebells and barbells as well too, and especially what Dan John says, like we got to make sure when it comes to being an athlete, you got to flip the switch. So that
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, definitely. I was the kid in high school who I tried out for the football team, and I only lasted 2 weeks because I got hazed really bad, and a lot of bullying, and I just didn't have that mentality to deal with
yeah,
that stuff. But anyway, so I went and ran cross country and track. So I did the boring sports, and then nobody. Although track's fun to watch, but no one watches a cross country race. It's like so, but it's cool. But I love watching football. It's at every level. It's super super fun.
yeah,
So. But yeah, so Kev, the main thing that I wanted to talk to you about is I know you're into like GS style training, and you're on Team USA, which
yeah.
is freaking super cool, man. So what just to kind of give everybody a quick overview, you do the GS style kettlebell training, you're on Team USA. What federation is that with?
The organization. I know there's a bunch of them, but the one that
Yeah.
I'm affiliated with right now is the IKMF.
Okay,
Yep.
nice.
But
It's the International Kettlebell
yeah, honestly, I'm like
something
still
foundation. Yeah,
so I'm not quite sure what the abbreviation was. I looked it
that's
up
okay.
though, but yeah.
No worries. Yeah, no, that's okay. And I don't want you to feel like you're being quizzed. It's no big deal. I think that's really really cool. So is this because I know obviously it's not an Olympic sport. It's not, so it wouldn't fall under IOC. But this is the highest level of competition for this event, right? Correct.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know there's like a bunch of affiliations all over the place, and
Awesome.
from talking to a bunch of colleagues and a bunch of members within the organization, they were saying that the reason why this hasn't become an Olympic sport yet is because there's just so many organizations with so many different rules, and so many
Yeah.
people are thinking that their rules better than others. So, hey, hopefully one day we'll make it into the actual Olympics and show everyone what's kettlebell is all about.
Man, that would be super super cool. And it's I guess kind of if you look at the other side of the coin, that could technically be seen as a positive, right? Kettlebell training is becoming more and more popular. So the fact that there are a lot of people doing it, and then there's a lot of different federations and organizations. I mean, on the one hand, you could view that in a positive light and say, "Hey, that's really cool." It's just like you said, there are nuanced differences as far as like technique and what's a quote unquote a go rep and what's a no go rep. So that's yeah, that's great, man. I just you know fairly recently learned about kind of the GS style. I came up through the strong first system a couple years ago.
Yep.
Been doing simple and sinister training. So I'm way more familiar with the strong with the hard style system. But
Yep.
seeing your videos and your coach Fion's, and it's cool. I mean, it looks really neat, and it looks super super neat. What would you say is kind of the difference between the primary difference between the two modalities?
Yeah, I mean, I think that question is going to be based off of who you ask, but for me, just
Yeah,
from practice, I feel like there's two different styles. One is like I think everyone always says within strong first is like a one punch, one kill.
yeah,
when it comes to like the GS, it's almost the opposite, but it's more like a whip style where it's just like conserve, but when need to, you can be efficient and then execute and then relax and then continue. Because the biggest thing with this is like we want to be efficient because of the duration is much more or much longer than the hard style, I guess you can say. Besides the 5-minute snatch test, that's a little different.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause I started with strong first, and that's actually how I got into the whole kettlebell scene.
Mhm.
So being able to witness both sides of it is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think that's really neat, man. And I'll be totally honest. I'm gonna admit my ignorance on the front end. The very first time I ever saw somebody do a GS style movement was the TSC a couple years ago. Mike and I were actually coaching one at the BSC before it closed, and this gentleman came in. Guy was super strong. He was a stud. And but anyways, he was doing the GS snatch, and luckily I wasn't the one counting his reps. It was Mike. But I was looking over, going, "Oh God, are those right? Those don't look right." And I just looked, and Derek Chrysler was there, thankfully. And Mike was counting, and he's just like kind of confused.
Yep.
And luckily, Derek's like, "No, he's good. He's good. I'll talk to you after." Because he's that kind of that whip pattern.
Right.
And the kind of heels coming up, and some of the stuff that conflicts with what we learned at the strong first. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine. I was just telling Eric, if you tried to do hard style for the duration of events that you do, you would die. Your CNS would just be shot for like a month, man. You'd be toast.
And that's and there's always like there's always people where it's always on one side of the spectrum and or another. But
Yeah.
there's me and I know Finbar, his biggest mission is to try to combine and fuse two combinations into like a hybrid. And to be quite honest, depending on who you ask, you could say that because I know Phil asked this question, but we'll get more into it. But long story short, my concept and my belief is that there's a time and place for everything. So
Yeah. No, and I love that answer. And I'll be honest, the longer I've only been a coach for 8 years, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an expert. I've been decades in the game. However, every year that goes by, and I meet more awesome people like you, and I learn more and more about different training modalities, different styles, different implements. The more I realize that I really just don't have any idea what the hell I'm doing, and I need to continue to keep an open mind and just continue to kind of have that growth mindset and learn, because there's so much. Like you said, I believe there is a place for everything. And I'm focusing on Sinister right now, but later down the road, after I go back to my first love, the barbell, I would definitely, I'll have to do a session or two with you over at TR, and have you teach me the way of the GS, because it's cool. Definitely want to learn. Eric, I've been talking a bunch, so take over, man.
Yeah, man. So all good stuff. I'm a little bit newer to the kettlebell scene. So all the guys at BSC Wellington, I was there for a little bit. That's how I know Mike Conway and Demarco. Obviously, that's where I met him. So for me, I'm at Lifetime in Burlington, and we're actually looking to potentially get somebody in to do a kettlebell certification for our group, but we're not really sure. I mean, as far as obviously it's got to work for everybody to get them in, but I'm curious in standpoint of like programming, like how does your program structure look? Like, I know obviously depends on the person in front of you, but how is your program style now? Like how is it organized?
is it based off of my program, or is it based off of people's program and their needs?
Yeah, people's programs and their needs. Yeah, like what do you usually, how are you usually programming? What's that look like for you now?
I mean, you hit it pretty spot on, and it all depends on their needs, their goals,
Yep.
their limitations, and it all varies for a lot of people. But it's just for me.
Is there things you go back to? I guess is my question. Like what does like a framework look like for you?
It always reverts back to the functional training, right? Because
Yep.
I believe that functional training is so key in life.
Absolutely.
And from there, depending on their needs, we kind of go towards that route. But if they
Yep.
want more of like an experience of, hey, I want to get stronger in overhead pressing, deadlifting, then we can start veering to all the stuff that I've been learning, like strong first. And then if anyone's crazy enough to want to dive into GS, then hey, that's another tool in the tool belt.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So for the audience, what is GS again? What's that stand for? What's that all about?
Yeah, if I'm I think this is how you pronounce it, but Girevoy Sports, or just to make it simple, it's just Kettlebell Sports.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so I say I'm definitely new to that term. That's why when Demarco even told me, I'm like, yeah, I'll have to have him explain that just so we know what that is. But no, that's great. So when did you start with kettlebells again? When did you start? When did you get into your first certification?
Yeah, I gotta give total props to Derek Chrysler, and
Okay.
he was and I think a lot of you guys know him as well
He's
too.
a
But
legend. I love Derek, man.
super great guy, super humbling, just very knowledgeable. But he was the first person, along with Heidi, and they were Derek was a staff member at the time at the training room,
Oh,
and
wow.
Brady was the co-owner at the time at the training room as well too. So when I went there, and kind of like this mentality when I was super, like, I would say young, but like 22, 23, graduating college,
Mhm.
MS, going through the Mike Boyles route. So I'm like, I know everything. That's how it always.
That's
You're in
how it
that
all
strength
starts.
training. So I'm just like, I know everything. And then when I went to the training room, and everyone's like, hey, you got to learn how to do a kettlebell swing. So when I went there, I was immediately sweating because pressure's on, people are looking, and technically I was not sound whatsoever. So it all started at that moment right there.
Yep. And then I mean, kind of even veer forward. Is there something that you're working on now? Any future certifications or
Yeah,
projects that you're working on?
yeah. I mean, when it comes to the GS style right now, I'm just diving into it because as an athlete, or I think as a coach,
Yeah,
I always, I think Mike said it. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, and I
yep,
took that to heart. So for
absolutely.
me, I will always remain a student. I will never be a master yet, or until I die, right? But
Yeah,
I'm gonna always continue to learn, and that I feel like that's the only way for us coaches to be better is to understand what we're doing before we even prescribe the exercise to the client or whoever we're working with, right?
100% agree. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, man. Same thing. Yeah, I feel like you're always learning no matter what. There's never really like what once you think you know everything. There's then that's when it's like, okay, we need to keep learning because obviously you haven't. So same kind of route with me too. When I was at Boyles, I always felt like I was like, oh, like I learned from Brendan Rierick and Kevin and stuff like that, and all those guys, and obviously Mike each week. And I was like, okay, like once I got there, I figured I was like, okay, now I know everything. Like once I got done with my internship, and then I realized how much I need to know or how much I need to learn. So I was still early stages, and I think now I'm finally realizing, wow, there's so much more to learn. I think the earlier years, I was like, wow, I know everything, and then
Yeah,
as the years went on, I'm like, wow, there's a lot I actually don't know. You know what I mean? It's like the earlier stages, you're at that stage where you think you know everything, and you're like, okay, like
yeah.
the way I programmed or how I thought about training, I was like, okay, there's nothing else to learn. Now it's the complete opposite. I'm always itching to learn new things. So,
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Always stay a student.
yep, absolutely. Anything to add to that, Marco?
Man, I love that sentiment, and that's one cool, really cool theme that's really been pervasive among all of our guests, and it is that very mindset of being a beginner's mind, always wanting to learn, and being really willing and ready to share your knowledge, but in the vein of being in service of serving people and serving clients and students and others, and not showboating and kind of showing off with what you do. So yeah, I absolutely love all that. I'm a huge proponent of that mentality. Not to get too in depth because I don't want your competitors to get access to this information and get the insider info. But generally speaking, for your own self, I'm just curious because I know so little about GS. What generally speaking, what does kind of a training cycle look like for you? Like, would say leading up to your competition.
So there's my main competition that I'm currently working with is the pentathlon, which consists of 5 different exercises with a duration of 6 minutes each, with a 5 minute break in between. Right, and within this event, you cannot put the bell down unless you have that break period. And those 5 exercises consist of kettlebell clean, long cycle clean and press, kettlebell jerks, half snatch, and a push press. And when it comes to scoring, and depending on the rep scheme and the weight that you use, you get a total score at the end. And based off that total score, a lot of people within this field that kind of chase after the rankings. So
Hmm.
luckily for me, I was able to receive a CMS, which is Candidate of Master Sports. And my ultimate goal is just become like a master sports within this division, and just, I mean, hopefully at that point I know a lot more about the GS style and just, learning at the same time. So
That's really cool, man.
yeah,
I looked at your numbers, and I
yeah.
re-looked at your numbers, and then I re-looked at them again, and I couldn't fathom the fact that for 6 minutes you cleaned a 40-kilo
Yeah,
bell. And obviously, I'm sure you switch arms whenever you need to and everything. But you're cleaning a 40 kilogram, so that's an 88-pound kettlebell for
right.
6 minutes.
Yep, 6 minutes straight.
That's amazing. So Eric, that's the weight that just a few months ago I was training on. I was training and testing on for simple and sinister. So I was swinging and doing get ups with it.
Not overhead pressing that.
Not overhead pressing. I could do it, but I could do maybe one or two reps.
One, yeah. You showed me. Well, I was saying at the beginning of this segment, Demarco, you showed me some of his videos because I didn't know who you were either. So he was showing me some of your clips. I'm like, damn, like you were pressing fast overhead too for that much weight.
I laughed so hard. I've been messaging Mike all week about having you on the show, and he's been telling me about your training and everything. And I saw the video of you doing the pistol squat and the press with the 48.
That was
and I look over and I realize, shit, that's the weight I'm training with. I'm swinging this thing, and this guy's pressing it. I was like, man, that's awesome.
Well, I'm sure Kevin can tell us it's baby steps. It takes time to build that. I'm sure you didn't start there. So
100%. Like within social media, everyone always wants to see like the cool stuff, but
of course,
I'll tell you right now, if you took my phone, you look through the camera rolls, you're gonna see a lot of failures and a lot of lower reps leading into those moments. But
it's the highlight reel, right? Like the Instagram's all about the highlight reel. No one shows the bloopers or the mess ups, or not. I say no one. A lot of people don't. Most people don't. So, but people don't see what's behind the scenes. Which, do you know who Ben Bruno is?
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
I haven't met him personally, but I know he started with Mike Boyles, and he's very knowledgeable.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be there. So 2013 was around the time he was actually about to head out to LA. So I got the end of Ben Bruno, I guess the end of the era. But man, he was awesome. Even just like the short period of time I was with him, I guess I was in North Andover, and that's where he was at that Boyles. And she's like, he would video all his lifts, like whether they were good or bad. You'd see a little bit of everything, but he was talking about being consistent. It was, literally daily. He was always doing like challenges, like he would always have like these crazy challenges for himself, for his clients, whatever else. But I talk about always learning, he was doing a lot of writing at the time too. I'm not sure how much he does at T Nation or stuff like that now, but he was big into that stuff. And even when I was there, I saw the end part of it, because he was on his way out, but he used to come back and visit and like get some lifts in. But I didn't realize how big he'd become. I guess it's crazy. Again, talk about just putting the work in and being yourself. That's what he is. And it's just to see his list of clients he trains.
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, the biggest takeaway from what you just said was like the key word is consistent, right? Consistent.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
wherever you want to go to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is I'm sure like you have aspirations to do things, like you said, and if you're not consistent with it, then what's that going to do for you? You have to continue to strive for wherever you want to go, wherever that may be. So
yeah, consistency is key. That's the secret to it.
Yeah. And everyone thinks like, was it, success leaves clues, right? So it's like, if assuming you're consistent with things, and you just stick to what your guns are and continue to get better, I guess, more or less, and learn, then you'll hopefully learn from your mistakes over time and fail forward and then get to your end result. So
yes, 100%. It's all about trial and error in life, right? Sometimes sometimes you fail, but then like you look at the pros and cons, and you kind of have to learn from that. So
Right. Yeah. I look at it too with failure, even to the audience. It's like at the time you might not have thought, you might think that something is quote unquote a failure, but in reality that's where you wanted to be at that point, or what you want, or what you were striving to go for. So it's not a failure necessarily. It's just learning from, a past situation, really, more or less. And you continue to just do that over and over again. So there's really like, I guess, because if you think of it as a failure, sometimes that'll stop you. You have to think of it as like that's only like the next step in the journey, more or less.
Yeah. I mean, like piggyback on that, what I've been saying with a lot of people lately is like, this progression people keeps thinking is like a linear line, but it's quite the opposite, right? It's like a bunch of waves, a bunch of mountains, it's highs and lows, peaks and lows as well. So
Yeah, I mean, even to add to your point there, so as a trainer at Lifetime or just any gym I've worked at, I've always told clients like, we're more about the process rather than the outcome itself. So you just continue to think about that. The journey is the goal. Really, you just want to continue to make. There's going to be lumps and there's going to be up and downs along the way, but as long as you're consistent, you'll get to where you're looking for through trial and error.
yes, 100%.
Yep. Mark, anything to add to our spiel there?
Man, y'all, just great stuff. I love when you guys are going off and talking about cool stuff, and I just get to sit here and listen. And it's so funny how I remember a few years ago when I was reading a lot of books. I was reading a lot of like philosophy books, business, and self-development and all that cool stuff. And I noticed that the same themes were being spoken about again and again. It's consistency, work hard, control things that you can, focus on what you can control. And it's funny how we all kind of know that stuff at a surface level, but when you start really, really reading it and learning about it and applying it, then it becomes you're studying it, right? You're studying the concepts and really applying them. So I think if we're saying the same stuff over and over again, from I think this is episode 28 or whatever, all the way to episode 100 and beyond, then that's great. Hopefully the audience members that stick with us that long will study and learn kind of what we have to say. So yeah, I think that's fantastic, man. And it's talking about Ben Bruno. I mean, he's obviously a really good coach. He's very smart, knows what he's doing. He's funny as hell. Like he has a great rapport, and really he's really good at chopping it up with his clients. But what does he have his clients do? They squat, they press, they push, they pull, they hinge, they carry. I mean, the tools might change from time to time. Each of them hits different loads and rep schemes and all that stuff. But it's still simple stuff. I've been doing 2 movements for the last 3 years. Now Kevin's you've been doing about, I guess, 5 or 6 movements technically for your training, but that's still not a lot. But you still gotten great results from it. It's obviously been very effective. I mean, Eric's a big barbell guy. You've been training the barbell. I'm sure you've been doing dumbbell and other accessories with those as well.
Of course. Yeah.
So when it boils down, it's still probably not a lot of movements in a training session. You're just focusing on getting better. So yeah, I think that philosophy totally works with anything. Just take the time, be consistent, and you're going to get a little better every time.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, even to the point as trainers, go back to Ben a little bit, keeping it simple, but he would always say it's 3 questions when you start with somebody, what's their training goal, what's their previous training history, and what is their injury history. Once you know those 3 things, you can pretty much take off with it. So it's easy to complicate things, even as a coach. I still sometimes to this day, I find myself that, you want it, you're like, oh, this can't be it. There's, a lot of times you think about the X's and O's of training, reps, sets, exercise selection, how you coach it, whatever else. But like, keep it simple, stupid. It's the name of the game. Yeah. Just continue to do that. It's easier said on the surface level, as I say it. It's simple, but it's very easy to make it complicated. So just stick to the roots, stick to the basics. That's why I like the Boyle scheme so much. The MBSC system works really well, and I've utilized that for years, and obviously put my own spin on it more or less, based on my own experiences. But as Mike would always say, find a good recipe and stick to it. You don't want to be going off like doing 10 different recipes all in one. How does that work out in a cooking? If you're cooking something and then you're making a lot of different things or trying to put a lot of things together. So, it's good to stick to a solid recipe and make it your own, more or less.
Yeah. I can't agree anymore. Yeah, that's pretty much what I
there's nothing else to say to that. We kind of on the situation you talked about for like certification stuff like that, future projects. Anything like long term you're looking to get into in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I mean it's
5 years. I know it's a little late out, but
yeah, I get that question a lot. Like, hey, what's the long term goal? But
yeah,
my mindset is always being present at the time, so it's hard for me to really answer that question. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, good answer.
Yeah,
It's not even a trick question, but I would answer it similar to you. More recently, I forgot who I got it from, but I put together a goals timeline for myself. I'm working on it currently too, but things that I want, like certifications I want to get and things I want to get, and trying to give myself some strict deadlines for them. But at the same time, it's one of those things where like it's good to have a map out of what you're looking for. But much like a training program, it's gonna change, based on your environment, based on what's going on around you over the course of time. So things do change. It's not always going to be linear, as you sort of mentioned earlier. So I like that you said that, because it's so true, and I have to remind myself of that all the time, because a lot of times I'm pretty rigid of like, I want to do this at this time frame, and like I said, I still ask those questions, like where do you see yourself in X amount of years? But like you said, it's not always going to be that way, as far as knowing it's going to be daily. It could change. So it's good to have some like ideas of where you're looking to go, but along the way, you might make some switch ups just based on what's going on around you. So,
Yep. I mean, that's 100% true. I mean, I'm a Buddhist, or that's what the religion that I believe in. So mindfulness is super key for me to keep life simple and try not to have any external stress on myself.
Yep.
So to answer that question for you, I guess a little bit more in depth, is to be good at where I'm at right now, be a better coach, be good at GS, and then we'll see what happens after that, what path leads on to that.
Yeah. Just worry about your next step. That's the big thing. What's the next step? Don't worry about 10 steps ahead of you. I do that all the time. That's what I need to work on. I don't know where you're at, Demarco, but I feel like that's my biggest flaw. Is just thinking too much down the road. It's like, just think about your next step. Easier said than done. On the surface level, it sounds easy, but just whatever your goal is, whatever your main thing you're looking to do, just make that the priority, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think that's really cool, man. I love all that. It's actually funny when you mentioned being a practicing Buddhist. That reminded me way back, like a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, when we first started this show. Derek Chrysler was actually one of our first guests on, and at the time, I was like devouring a bunch of philosophy books. I was reading, I guess, philosophy / religion technically, but I was reading a lot of like Stoic philosophy. I read a couple of Thich Nhat Hanh's books. And was reading about like Buddhism. I was reading about Taoism, and it was really, especially in that really, really stressful time, early days of the pandemic. It was, I found myself a lot of time, because like all the other trainers, I was unemployed and at home and trying to not go stir crazy. He mentioned that you have met Thich Nhat Hanh, and you studied under him.
I mean, that I wish I could say that's true, but I've never met Thich Nhat Hanh before. I've been in the I wouldn't say the palace, but where he started everything, in Plum Village in France.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool.
So my brother is a Buddhist monk, and he actually was there.
Oh, wow.
He's learning from a lot of masters, and I don't know, brothers and sisters, I guess you can call it. But
yeah,
the person that I know that I've met is Brother Phap Hu, who learned from Thich Nhat Hanh.
That's cool.
So that's the closest thing to Thich Nhat Hanh, besides being in because I guess steering off a little bit, when we went on a family vacation to Vietnam, Thich Nhat Hanh was at this temple that he was staying at, but we were unable to go into them at the time because of his illness.
Oh yeah. No, that's really neat. I mean, and yeah, I'm glad you set the record straight, because I heard that account from Derek a couple years ago. So I'm glad you kind of set that straight for me. Eric, if you ever have time, man, you should Google this guy, Thich Nhat Hanh. He's absolutely amazing. He has some amazing books on like not just Buddhism, but just mindfulness. And he's got this really cool, I saw it on VHS back in the day, because I'm old, but Peace is Every Step, just a really cool, he does a peace walk every single year for Vietnam. And obviously he's very, very, like many in that camp, very, anti-violence and all about, peaceful and mindfulness. But he's an extraordinary human being, and just really cool. You'll learn a lot of really cool stuff from him. So to kind of stick with the Buddhism thing, how long have you been, if you don't mind me asking? I don't want to get too personal with you. I'm just curious about this. Were you kind of raised in a Buddhist kind of household?
Yep. Yep, my mom and
Awesome.
dad is 100% Vietnamese, and that was the culture that I grew up in and the
Mhm.
religion that I practice. Obviously, when we were younger, it's kind of different. We don't believe in that stuff because there's a lot of things that you're like, I really don't want to go down there. But
Yeah.
you get older, I appreciate everything that my parents did because, ultimately it's because of them that I do practice the way I practice alongside my brother as well too. And it really helped transition into GS, kettlebell, or whatever I'm
Yeah.
doing. Right? At that moment, I'm just trying to be good at what I'm at, and then from there, shut it down, move on to the next thing. So
That's awesome. I struggle with that every second of every day, Kevin. That's my big thing is, especially now. I'm a stay at home dad, and I've got a 1 year old crawling around right now. She'll probably soon be running around. But I struggle with that as well. Is like, I want to get my training sessions in and work towards my goals. I want to be present, with my daughter and with my wife and my family. And there's that kind of feeling of kind of being constantly pulled in multiple directions, which I'm no exception to the rule. I know everybody feels this way, but I having only read a couple books, I'm not going to say I really know much about Buddhism other than reading a couple of books, but I have found that meditation has definitely helped from time to time, and doing the deep breathing and everything. I'm sure you obviously practice mindfulness all the time, but do you have dedicated meditation time that you practice every day?
yeah, not as extent to what everyone believes meditation is all about.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with my experience from talking to my brother, meditation manifests differently for everybody,
Yeah.
especially throughout the day because of stress. So
Yeah.
my time to meditate is honestly the car ride going to work,
Hmm.
and my hour to 2 hours, depending on the prescribed exercise of the day. That's my time to meditate. So
That's great. Yeah, no, I love that, man. And I've said this before, that particularly for me, the Turkish get up movements, like the get up that are slower. They have a bunch of different steps. I try really hard to focus on myself and on the bell and on the positioning and just block everything else out. It's actually one of the lessons Mike Conway gave me when I first started. I just started training with bells, and I did like a 12K get up, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm freaking strong, bro. Check out my get up, dude. And I looked over and was talking to Mike while doing one, and he said, "Stop talking to me and focus on the bell."
yep,
And it was great. It was, and afterwards he said, "I didn't mean to sound like a jerk, but you need to be engaged fully in the task because you have a weight over your head.
yep.
So you have to. It commands your respect and your attention and your focus." So I couldn't agree more. That training could definitely, if you really dial into it, it's definitely a great form of movement meditation. So I love that for clubs too. I know you did the deviate the style. Did you do the cert? Was it last year or did you do the 2021?
I did. I was the first one in person at in DV8. I'm not sure if it was the headquarters, but it was in Philadelphia with
Yeah,
everyone in person. Yeah,
with Phil and Pam. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to convince Eric to come with me and have us do the DVA, because he would love it, especially the carryover into the barbell and the body weight movement. So it's super
Yeah.
fun. What
yeah.
would and then we'll just make this as like a little cheap plug for Phil and Pam. What was the biggest lesson that you learned from doing the DV8 cert?
Mm. The biggest takeaway from the DV8 cert was time under tension, respect whichever movement that you're currently working on, and be super patient. I guess I would say, right? Because a lot of people, especially Eric, you know this right now, right? When it comes to barbell lifting, especially deadlift, bench press, or any Olympic sports or Olympic lifts, a lot of people rush into it.
Yep.
When you look into like the great folks that that came before our time, right? When we're practicing all this stuff, they go through a ritual for I would say like the first 20 seconds
Mm,
before even approaching that bar, right?
100%.
So,
Yeah.
so that there's a big transition over from the deviate way into the barbell way, and you could even bring it back to the kettlebell way as well too.
Yeah. I would
Mm.
say own your starting position. That's the big thing I always think of too.
Yeah,
It's
big time.
very key. I used to think it was stupid when I heard that, when coaches would tell me that. I'm like, what do you mean? And then when you think about it, like you said, if you rush it, any lift you do, it's usually that first rep's going to mean a lot. So if you don't have the first rep down, the rest of them are supposed to be copies of the previous rep. And if the first rep's bad, the next couple reps probably aren't going to be any better, or it's going to be much harder to readjust once you keep going. So that goes for any exercise or anything you're doing. So own the start position for sure.
Yep. So that's one of the biggest, or 3 or 4 things that I mentioned. Biggest thing with right there.
No, that's great stuff. I no, same. I took that stuff away from it as well. And then for me, my 2 main ones were, we're trying to convince you, Eric. I don't know if we're succeeding, but no,
I'm definitely into it. I have to obviously have time to.
We're gonna do it.
Do it.
Yeah. So. No, we'll set. I actually need to talk to Phil and see what their schedule is for the year, because
let me know. I'm into it. I'm definitely into it. I think I need to expand my horizons anyway, so it'd probably be a good start to get into it for sure.
Yeah,
so.
No, it'd be great, man. The 2 things I learned were, number one, like I mentioned to you earlier, Kevin, are keep an open mind. You know, the first time they did the behind the heel start, I was just like, well, this is kind of weird. I don't know if I like this very much. It's harder, especially double bell. I'm like, this is really awkward. And I don't like this. But I stuck it out and I committed to it, and I trained with the behind the heel start for my swings and my cleans and my snatches and everything. And then when I went to do my test, so I've done up to the 44 now. I'm inching my way to the 48, but every time I've tested on the 32, 36, 40, and 44, I've gone back to that hard style, old school, hike pass going into the swing, and it's so much easier. Like the weight just flies up. So it's kind of cool. It's like I've made it intentionally a little bit harder, and then I've gone and I go and do the pre-swing, and then it's like, oh shit, this bell feels even lighter than it normally does during training. So it's a great advantage.
I mean, there's a lot of positive sides to that. I mean, especially with the hike position, you're cutting that momentum that you create within that hike or the hike within the strong first.
Big time.
You're wedging, you're time under tension the entire time. Then from there, learning to explode out of that position, right?
Absolutely.
So for yourself, and when you revert back to the original form, it should be much easier.
Oh, definitely, man. And I was talking to one of my other colleagues about this, and how I would love, maybe one day they'll do a study or something on this. But that start position for the deviate, I mean, that's athletics. That's football. That's what you do. That's the kettlebell sport, particularly the start of it. That's jumping, that's fighting, that's anything. You're starting, from nothing, and you're turning it on and exploding, when you have to. So it's really cool. I think, especially like sprinters and jumpers, where it's like that split second, acceleration and start. So it's really, really cool stuff. Man, I know we kind of jumped all over the place. I've been super pumped to talk about all this stuff with you, man. Eric, do you have any other questions, man, before we go into the lightning round?
No, I think the lightning round will help bring it full circle. So I think that'll be good.
I've got one more question, and you kind of answered this earlier, but I want kind of a little bit more of an in-depth answer if you feel like it. And feel free to factor in everything, like your athletics background, your lifelong Buddhism practice. When you are working with a client or student, what is your primary goal when working with them?
Helping them deal with stress and help achieve their goals. Right? Everyone's a little different. My biggest belief is that stress manifests differently for everybody, and it's my mission to help them deal with stress or help cope with stress at that given moment, to hopefully at the end of the session, they feel relief one way or another, right? So whether it's through a good workout, a good talk session, or just lending an ear. A lot of people don't know this, but physical workout is the same as a mental workout. So I'm just there to help guide them through it. So everyone always says, like, I'm either a strength coach, a military person, right, just kind of hounding them, or just a friend lending an ear. Either way, we're working, and I'm trying to make them better.
Amen to that. That's a great answer.
That's a hell of an answer. I love that.
I agree with all that. I couldn't agree more. Actually, that's great. You summed that up exactly. That's the thing too, is people don't realize it's sort of like a therapy session in a way when you're training somebody, and you want to help them through their stress. There's stress throughout the whole day. People are building stress throughout each day, throughout each week, or whatever else. So if we can be there to just sort of make them feel even a little bit better than when they first came in, I feel like that's we did our job. So I tell my clients that all the time. So it's not all about the X's and O's all the time. And 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 actually, even to add to that too, I think I like the idea of like daily estimated maxes. So like sometimes you're not going to go all out. Like you might have planned that they're going to go 80% on a deadlift, but maybe they're not feeling it that day. So we might do more mobility work, or we might just lower the percentage and just work on the skill itself. But it's really going to be, day by day, much like goals would be and everything else and what we're looking to do. So that was a great answer.
Yeah. And then like piggybacking on that, right? Like the people who you work with, they'll eventually become friends, right? Totally. And then as a friends, you actually understand that. For me, I kind of tricked all of my friends, right? Because the first question I always ask for everybody is, how are you feeling? And then that dictates what that program is going to be for today. So Absolutely. Like X and O's, I put this down, 80% max. But depending on that answer, shoot, that 80% might stay at 80, or it just might dip down to 65, right?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. I totally agree. And Tony Genacor used to say that. I don't know if you know Tony Genacor. Mm-hmm. He always talks about, like, he coined like the daily estimated max. I think he has a blog post about it, but it's so true. I mean, I used to think, when I first started too, and my first year of training, is you had to follow the script. Like if you go off the script, they're not going to get to their goals. But we all know that that's not the case. And usually, and I would say 80% of the time, you'll probably hit the numbers you're looking to hit. But then you'll have 10% where it feels awful and you're just not going to hit your numbers. And then the other 10%, you're going to be a rock star and probably go ahead of those numbers. So it really is a day by day thing. So
yeah. And that's why I keep saying that's a part of our job, right? And within this career, to be able to identify that, be able to adapt, adjust, and do it the right and safe way is what I say.
Exactly. Yep. So you have to, exactly. You have to adapt to what the person in front of you, what their needs are, and make it work for them at that given time. And that's the hard part of our jobs, I would say too, in a good way, is we have to be able to adapt on the fly a lot of times. And you don't know, like when that person comes in, like, they're confirmed for that session, you don't know how they're going to be when they show up. So they could come off. Like I've had people text me and like, I think it's going to be a normal session. And all of a sudden they have all these stressors going on. And it's like, shoot, we have to scrap a lot of what we were going to do. So couldn't agree more.
Yeah, the stress, the stress management is absolutely one of the biggest factors for sure, Kevin. I love that. One of my favorite things to do, and I'm you obviously you've also been through the DV8 system, so you've learned about this as well. And we don't need to go down this rabbit hole too much, but like the heart breathing. Did you go over that with Phil? The harmonica and breathing with the kettlebell on your abdomen, or?
No, unfortunately I didn't know.
Oh, cool. Well, I don't want to give any of that away, but it's cool. But one of my favorite things to do, this can be for you guys and our audience, and maybe even take this home to your clients. If I'm having a really crazy day and I'm just like mentally really scatterbrained, a lot of times, because I tend to be a very hyper person. I'm very hyper. My wife, and technically she is a psychiatrist, so she probably is right. But she's unofficially diagnosed me with ADHD, even though she didn't officially diagnose me because she's my spouse. But anyway, so I'm always kind of up here naturally, and then when there's stress going on, I just get to an even kind of higher level. I tend to find myself, if I calm myself down prior to a training session, I tend to have a better workout, and I'm more focused and driven. One of my favorite things to do, man, I just lay down on the floor, place my hands over my belly. I kind of bend my knees with my feet up, kind of close to my butt or just in a comfortable position. I just take 20 deep belly breaths, like treat the belly like a big balloon. Inhale, fill it up, exhale, let it all out. Nice, slow, deep breathing, 20 of those breaths. And man, I feel a lot of those days, I just feel the worries kind of melt away, and I'm able to kind of focus on what I'm doing. And that's where I feel like we should do another episode totally about breath and about mindfulness and meditation, all that stuff. But for everybody, that's just a little thing you can do, just kind of help you get into a good positive mindset for training. So
yeah. And I mean, at that moment right there, that is your meditation for the day.
Yes.
Right?
100%. Yeah.
You're in the moment and you're present. And we're going to have to do a separate thing on like Buddhism and training and the parallels and how I'm sure each practice has enhanced one another. And there's been a really cool synergistic relationship, but being present, I think that's something we all struggle with, especially with this thing in our pocket all the time, notifications, news feed, this, that, it's amazing how much harder it has become to be present with one another, and how something that we have to practice. So
yeah, even to add to that, Demarco, I think what I've been doing with a lot of my clients lately is I put my phone away. So whenever I'm training people, unless I really need it, I just put, I have a drawer that I put my stuff in, and I used to in the past, I would show clients things on Instagram or whatever. I would just be showing them whatever it was. And now I feel I'm more in the mindset of like be present in the moment as much as I can. Obviously there's going to be some leeway, but for the most part, if you do, you'll notice a big difference. You won't be distracted nearly as much. Because I see people all the time. You see people like they could be training someone and texting on their phone. It's like that's not good practice.
Yeah.
So you see it all the time. I've seen it in commercial gyms everywhere I've gone. And as you guys know as well as me, it's like that distracts you and it takes away from the client. So I know I wouldn't want that if someone was training me. So it goes a long way.
Definitely not. Yeah, definitely. I mean, unless it was like a family emergency or something, and it's like, hey, I gotta be available for my spouse or whatever. That's
yeah. I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, of course, but you got to be consistent with back to consistency, consistent with not doing that. So it's very hard though. The beginning when I first was doing it, I was like, wow, this is actually harder than I thought, because I'd want to show clients something. I'd be like, here's the idea or here's something I was telling you about last week, and maybe I would show them a clip or something like that. A lot of times I like to have fun with my clients too and show them like funny videos or whatever. Just just have a good time. And obviously without the phone, sometimes you feel like you're naked. You're like, okay, now what? So again, that forces you to be present and forces you to be in the moment and not think about that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
absolutely, man. All right, fellas. Well, we're going to go into our kind of last segment here. So what we like to do with our guests, Kevin, is what we call a lightning round. There's no right or wrong answer, so don't worry. But we tend to kind of pose kind of a this or that style of question, or just kind of something that's kind of a quick answer that you can give. Just a fun way to kind of get to know you, and for the audience to kind of get to know you a little bit more. And Eric and I are going to go kind of back and forth with our questions. Like I said, no right or wrong answer. Just give us the answer off the top of your head. And these are fun. These are going to be fun questions. They're not going to be like anything super serious. So
getting ready for Family Feud. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Ready for this? Yeah.
All right, man. Go, Eric.
With the Super Bowl coming up a couple weeks, we got a couple teams left. What are your predictions for the Super Bowl matchup and who's going to win?
It's hard to say this, but I think Kansas City is going to take it away with the experience and with the depth that they have, and you can't really go wrong with Patrick Mahomes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a safe answer. Yeah. So if you had to choose only one to train for your clients, not for yourself, for your clients, would you choose hardstyle or GS?
I would say hardstyle.
Okay. Yeah.
GS is, unfortunately, I mean, it's not unfortunate, but it's more kettlebell sports, more being an athlete, and you got to be in that right mentality. Goals have to link up properly in order for us to go down that route. Yeah. Don't tell me there's a time and place for it, but as of right now, a good baseline would be hardstyle.
Okay, awesome, great answer.
What would one book recommendation be for our audience?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm gonna stay pass on this one for now. I'm gonna get back to that one.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Record that for the future. No, I'm just kidding, Eric. It's no big deal. So, are you a Star Wars guy? Do you like Star Wars?
I actually, because of my fiance, I'm starting to get into Star Wars. But I'm not gonna lie, the first couple of movies, maybe it's just because I'm spoiled with the generation that I'm in right now. But the graphics was terrible. It makes me
They're kind of old. No, I hear you, man. So, out of the ones you have seen, which one was your favorite, if at all?
Return of the Last Jedi, Han Solo. Top of my head, those two. I mean, I did not follow the sequence, so I'm so sorry for the Star Wars fan. I actually jumped around. And my biggest thing,
Kevin, why?
Show me. So
yeah, Kevin, you can leave now. It's okay. Goodbye. Just kidding.
Now I got the answer to the book.
Yep.
Conscious Coaching. Really good one.
Which one?
Conscious Coaching.
Oh, yeah. Brett
Bartholomew. Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. Excellent choice. I say it's a good one. I actually haven't read it. A lot of my former strength coaches that I've worked with and even current, they all say to read it. So I definitely got to add that to my shelf.
It's on my reading list. Yeah.
What would be, let's see, favorite type of music?
Oh, all right. There's a two-part to this. Country. Love country,
Okay.
super mellow.
Okay.
I can get into it, but because of the GS, I can't. My coach actually yelled at me for listening to too much country.
Yeah.
So because of that, or maybe because he's in Ireland, it's a lot of electric EDM right now. So
Really?
day of training, yes.
Do you like hip hop at all? Demarco, I'm a big hip hop guy. What do you like for hip hop?
I guess for me, the definition of hip hop I don't know if it is true or not, but for me, it's like Kanye, old Kanye, Drake, G. So all of the
bro. Yeah.
Tiger.
You're onto it. Yep. As I said, that's what I usually listen to when I work out. However, every once in a while, you need some hard rock. I need like Metallica or something like that, or something that's a little bit more in your face kind of thing. But it really depends on what I'm working out to, I guess, or what I'm doing for a workout. So
yeah.
But it's interesting you said country. It's funny, when I was at Boyles, country was like a lot of the hockey teams would request country music.
If you haven't tried it, try it out. It's super mellow. You get really into it, and it's just very calm and relaxing. So
Demarco, you'd be surprised. Like even like I don't know if you had this experience, but like at Boyles, a lot of like the high school kids were like, even when they were going for like heavy weights, they're like, yeah, put on country, and like that shocked me. I didn't think that would amp me up, but
no kidding. Yeah,
you'd be surprised.
That's actually really funny. Yeah. So my one of our great friends and colleagues, Jimmy, his hype up song is "Take It Out on Me." I think it's Florida Georgia Line. Man, when he puts that song on, he like that's his pump up for a heavy overhead press. So maybe I should get on that country train. So this question is directly from Phil. He asked, whose legs are thicker, yours or Fion's?
Or Finn? Oh, 100%, it's mine. I'm gonna say
yeah.
Such a confident answer. I love that.
Yeah. So Finn, if you're listening to this, I am so sorry. Thanks for all the recommendations, but my quads are the show.
Yeah. Oh, damn. Okay. So Finn is how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, Finn.
Finn. Okay. I've been saying it wrong. Okay, cool. That's really funny.
What is your favorite exercise for like a barbell or dumbbells? What's your go-to?
Favorite exercise in general or barbell specific?
We'll say barbell specific.
Barbell specific, I would. Man, this is like the macho side of me, right? I can't narrow it down. It has to be 3, and it's from the functional: deadlift, back squat, bench press. Boom.
All right, I like that answer. I'm a big deadlift guy, so clearly by the name of our podcast, we like deadlifts here. So
yeah, we love the deadlift.
Yeah.
So what is to go into the deadlift? Actually, what's the most weight you've ever pulled?
Conventional style 405,
nice.
Back squat 445, bench press 345.
Damn. Oh, okay. Wow.
So those are college, all college years. Yep.
Awesome, man. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. So,
who is your hero? Who do you look up to?
Well, we can go with the Tom Brady route, saying my mom and dad. But to be honest, I would say Superman. He gives a lot of hope in life, so I follow him.
And by the way, guys, off the record, is Tom Brady actually retiring? Is that actually happening? I don't know. There's speculation saying he has never said anything.
Back and forth, aren't they? Yeah.
There's a lot of news on that.
You'll find out. So,
do what?
Yeah.
Just talk to Giselle. You'll find out real quick.
Exactly. She probably knows. She already knows the answer.
I don't think he's going out like this, man. I think he's coming back for one more year. He's got too much fire in his belly.
Well, that was statistically his best year was this year. It was one of the best years for him, anyways. So he still has it.
I heard a report actually yesterday from Tony Romo. I think he took a take on this, saying that Tom Brady might need a off year, just like Michael Jordan did before his return, for another challenge.
Oh wow!
If that's true, hey, it'll be quite interesting.
It'd be wild, especially at his age. Like he'd be past 45 at that point. So
yeah. Hey, speculating, they were saying that 49ers back to his home roots.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Dude, that would be sick, man. I'm a child. So I grew up watching the 49ers with my dad, and so I'm pulling hard for Jimmy G, even though I don't know if their offense can do it, but yeah, that would be sick, man. That would be really cool. So awesome, man. Well, good stuff. That was all, man. Those are all some great takeaways, Kevin. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on and taking time out of your Sunday morning to be on here with us.
Yeah.
You know, but that was a super awesome conversation we had with you, and I'm even more interested in GS now. When I can find some time, man, we're gonna have to get together and do. I'd love to learn some GS stuff from you later down the road. Maybe we can drag Eric in there too, and we can teach him some hardstyle stuff.
Yeah, you know, there's one thing that I forgot to mention, and it reverted back to Eric's question that I kind of like breezed by was. For the it went back to why I'm doing GS or what my current goals was.
Yes. Yeah.
My answer to that, after 45 minutes of this, reflecting back at it, I always say that I always have to tackle my weakness so that I can turn my weakness into strength. And at the time, strength was my strength, or being strong. My conditioning was really bad. So I actually reached out to Finbar, and that's how I actually got into GS style. It's a lot of endurance based, a lot of aerobic training, and because of that, it's made a big difference in my training and my philosophies. So,
wow, no, that's a good answer. Also, before we get into our dad joke, what where can people find you? Where like what outside of what's your Instagram handle for the audience?
Kev, I think it's Kev_Duong, Duong.
Okay. And then anywhere else, do you have any like website or anything like that, or anywhere else people can?
No, I try to keep it super simple. So that's like my main one. You can always go to thetrainingroomboston.com, and you can always reach out to me there, or kev@thetrainingroomboston.com is my email as well too.
Yeah.
So.
Anything else to add, Demarco?
No, man, I think that's great. I think let's go into our respective corny dad jokes, and let's wrap this thing up. Kevin, I definitely will love to have you on again for another episode.
100%. Yeah, you'd be good.
When Omicron, dies down, and hopefully this pandemic will end one day. I would love to get in person with you, and we could definitely do some videos together about like GS versus hardstyle, pros and cons, benefits of each, and then I would love to see you in action. Random question. I just thought about this. When you do go to your competitions, do they live stream them anywhere, or is it just kind of an in-house thing?
I think it's a couple of people was asking that, and I was trying to find a reason why they couldn't. Everyone does like Facebook Live and Instagram Live time as well too. So
okay.
During my first competition, I was gonna do that so that everyone at home could see it, but obviously because of my first live competition, I was nervous. I was like, nope, just recording for myself and that's it. But in the near future, that's what I'll be doing.
Oh man, if you do that, you put a post up or whatever, and let us know ahead of time, and I can tell you right now, you'll have at least one viewer, because I love watching people compete in basically anything. I think it's fun. So that's really cool.
I got two coming up. One is in March, and then the other one is I think in November. So
awesome. Where are they at?
Well, the one in March, it's going to be a half marathon. We didn't touch base on that, but this is considered my off-season training. So competing a half marathon, that's going to be in Georgia, Kennesaw, I believe, live in person. And depending on that, hopefully I'll get to serve the reps and being able to qualify for that to go to Portugal to represent another affiliation for Team USA.
Man, that's really cool. So you're kind of the Jason Bourne of kettlebells. Is kind of what I'm hearing here.
Listen, if that's what you want to call it, I'll humbly accept.
You'll take it.
I know he's a badass. So
yeah, he is a badass. So no, that's really cool. Awesome. Well, we won't put you under pressure yet, Kevin. But Eric, what's your terrible dad joke?
Why did the football coach go to the bank?
Oh, is it? Are we supposed to answer that, or?
Yeah. And then he's gonna tell us. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm super bad at jokes. To bench his starting quarterback.
Close. Demarco, what do you think?
To find a quarterback?
To get his quarterback. Yeah.
To get his quarterback. Okay. Yeah.
I heard this one before too.
Hey, you're close. You guys are on to something. So that's my corny one.
Which bear is the most condescending?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to say the black bear.
Yeah.
Black bear.
A panda.
Panda bear.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. There we go.
All
right, Kev.
So that's why I'm so bad at these dad jokes.
That's okay. What you got, Kev?
What did the dog study at college? I can see Eric's face right now. He's thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, I'm trying really hard on this one too. I don't know. No, what is it?
Parkology.
Like,
Nice.
Who gets the point? Who gets the best joke out of us three?
I don't know.
I guess you can let anyone decide on that
I think
one.
Kev's was pretty good. Awesome. Well, fellas, that was another awesome episode. Kevin, again, thank you so much for being on, man. We appreciate your time. Definitely got some great takeaways, and you just hearing you talk about kettlebell training and GS and everything has just gotten me even more excited to continue my own journey into the bells, and kind of inspired me to pick up those Buddhist books again and kind of read those again and study and learn, because there's so much that you can learn from mindfulness and trying to slow things down and being present and being in the present moment. And I think that's, especially in today's day and age, especially like now we have like the metaverse and everything, which is, there's going to be even more of an emphasis on entering this digital world that's, not real and disconnecting from our own bodies and our own relationships. So it's needed now even more so than ever. So but man, great.
Yeah. Oh no, just piggyback on that. Just breathe, and the power of your breath is underestimated or underutilized. Boom.
I love that. Yeah, that's so true. That's a hell of a takeaway. So want to thank all of you so much for tuning in to another episode of Deadlifts, Dogs, and Dad Jokes. Hope you enjoyed it. And I want to leave you with an empowering mission for yourself. Train your body, feed your mind.